All right, now we're going to go over a little overview on queues and understanding what their purpose is in our system. So we're going to start at the schedule, and when we get to the schedule, everything that's on here is technically a queue. Just depends on how you define each queue. So in the case of David, he is a supervisor or a weekly maintenance technician. We assign him jobs, and they are dropped into the queue with his name on it. That way he can perform the jobs assigned to him. Same with Charlie Kelly, same with Kevin, same with Israel. Now what we have outside of our actual normal technicians are holding queues, such as this one, 1EQ Weekly New Fort Worth. Now this is identifying that we have a new weekly startup that is being performed today. In this case, there's two of them, and one of them has been closed. And we use them so we can track items. So when I go look at these, just for checking up on it, we have Eric Perrell and Karen Ronquillo. This one's been closed. So somebody has gone out to this job. We've got information back from the job, and we've gone through and actually closed it now that we've spoken with the customer. So in this case, closed comments, quote sent. Customer is paying $120 per month currently, so we probably won't win the bid. We talked to them earlier and sent them over the quote that they requested, and they're just going to think about it. The technician that actually did this job was David. He went over there and see his closed comments. She's going to wait until our contract is up. Our contract is up at the end of the month and decide whether she's going to go with us or not. So we went out there and we just checked the tracking queue and see. We have another one over here, the 3AQ PPC FC tasks. This is tracking filter cleans in Dallas. And this one over here is tracking filter cleans in Fort Worth. So when we sign up a new weekly customer, as part of their terms of service, they agree to let us do their filter cleaning 2 to 3 times per year. So we actually set up a task in the system to track that information. So we have their full service cleaning, which is assigned to the technician on Wednesdays to actually clean on a weekly basis. Whereas we assign this filter clean tracking semi-annually to this one. You notice that this one's not assigned to anything here. When we open up the job, it is assigned to Israel Romero on Wednesdays. It's just formatted a little bit differently. There's a video explaining how to set this stuff up previously, so we're not going to worry about that right now. But in this case, it's a semi-annual, and it is signed to this tracking queue. Now we could go through and you could assign it to any of these tracking queues if it's on a recurring service. So understanding the difference though, there are work order assignment queues and there are task assignment queues. So in the case of this, we're in the task section, so let's just go through some of the task assignment queues. There's not a whole lot. There's more work order assignment queues than anything. So we have filter clean tasks, Dallas and Fort Worth. Task assignment, see how it says tasks. That means that these are on recurring schedules. We want to monitor them every 6 months, every 4 months, every 3 months to reappear on the schedule in those intervals. That way we know whenever they're due. And then we have, then it's just the weeklies. Weekly technicians that are actually out servicing the pools on a weekly basis to make sure they know to go every single week. The rest of these are for tracking work orders. So I'm going to go over to the work orders tab and then go to the assign to right here. Needs additional items, maintenance, and needs additional service repair. These are the two that maintenance technicians use in the field. If they come across a service call need or a skimmer basket need, they will choose one of these corresponding queues, fill it out appropriately in the field, and then submit it to ION, and then it'll actually show up on the schedule in real time. That way we can see that there's an issue. Same with priority dirty. We go out to a swimming pool and it's got problems, it's dirty. We need to make sure that we see this thing get cleaned up, so you don't want to forget about it. So what would you do? Let's say Mr. Blaylock's pool is in really bad shape and we're working on cleaning it up right now. We're sending a supervisor out. I'm going to create a work order for the priority dirty pool in Mr. Blaylock's name, and then that way I can move it to the next day, just always have it there as a reference point to track it until I close it out. I'm going to make sure it's been done. Same thing with weekly news. We have weekly news, Dallas and Fort Worth. These are reminder queues as well. We can choose this one right here, and it just gives me, oh, it's just like this one on the schedule. Weekly New Fort Worth. It's just a reminder queue letting me know that somebody was going out there, and we need to make sure it doesn't slip through the cracks. Things along those lines. Go back to Mr. Blaylock right fast. Cancellations. Customer calls cancel service because they are moving or the service is just no longer needed. Once they cancel service, we'll go to the customer's account, create a work order, assign it to the cancellation queue, and then that lets us know how many cancellations we've had. Weekly quotes. Customer calls in. They haven't decided for sure whether or not they're going to go on service with us. So what do? We create a quote, put it in the system. That way we can follow up with it, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of these queues. They all have a purpose. A lot of them are somewhat self-explanatory. It's like all things, it's process repetition. Most of them are work order tracking queues that we can put stuff in. It's pretty rare that a lot of these even have to be used, but when they are needed, they come in really handy. It's a lot better than writing something on a piece of paper and hoping that you don't turn the page too many times and lose it. Just assign it to the appropriate queue, stick it on the scheduling board, and that way you can always go back and find out. So we have these right here, and this one still hasn't been closed on Weekly New Fort Worth. 1 out of 0. This is Jim Eskelman. I remember trying to call him. He hasn't been answering. There's still a filter clean that needs to be booked right here. There's one right here that needs to be booked currently, and there's one right here that needs to be booked currently. So there's a few little jobs that are just kind of floating around there in these holding queues, waiting to have something done. You go into next week, nothing's really there because a lot of stuff hasn't been reported. And you just run these queues. You work these queues on a regular basis just to keep them cleared out. Go back, see if I can find right here. 1A queue, weekly needs additional items, maintenance, and filter clean. See, a technician reported this. Judy Lages. Charlie Kelly reported this while he was out servicing the pool, scheduled for 9/17/2018. All right, so cool. It was reported, but we actually already scheduled it and sent it out. I believe we've actually already installed what was needed over there. So, yeah, that is the understanding of queues. It's process of repetition and just knowing when to use them.